If you're looking for a fun but meaningful final lesson for your Year 11s or Year 13s before they go on study leave, this episode is for you. In today's episode, I'll be sharing with you the exact biology escape room activity that I have used for the end of year send-off for my Year 11s and Year 13s since about 2018 or 2019. It is a competitive and exciting revision-packed lesson, which the students always love and say how memorable it is. And I'm going to be giving you a quick win and a free resource you won't want to miss. Hey there teachers, welcome to Miss Estruch Teach and Tell, the podcast where every week I dive into all the tips and tricks that make teaching life so much easier. Whether you're a veteran educator, an early career teacher learning the ropes, or balancing the classroom with being a busy parent, this will help you streamline your workload and bring a bit more balance to your life. You bring the coffee and I'll bring the teach and tell. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Miss Estruch Teach and Tell, the podcast for busy teachers who want to streamline their workload and make teaching a little bit less chaotic. I'm your host, Miss Estruch, or Katie Estruch, and today I'll be letting you in on my favourite way to wrap up the school year with a bang, which is my biology escape room. But before we jump into that, quick coffee catch up. So this week I've been full steam ahead getting ready for exam season, prepping all of my pick and mix lessons and making sure I've got all my YouTube videos scheduled and my podcast because I know how hectic it is about to be. And it reminded me of what I used to do when I was a classroom teacher. This is actually my first year not being a classroom teacher and just teaching online. So it's my first year ever of not doing the send-offs for GCSE and A-level students. And it reminded me of how I used to do those escape room lessons and also how it started in the first place. So these biology escape rooms, it reminded me of when I was in Bulgaria with one of my friends. I think, as I said, it was in 2018 or 2019. And we were trying to find something to do on our last day there when it was pouring down with rain. And escape rooms had just become a bit of a thing. And we were trying to find an escape room to do in Bulgaria. We got there, turned out to permanently shut, so we couldn't do it. But this was during the Easter holidays, and it gave me the idea that I love competitiveness and challenges and problem solving in escape rooms. And I thought, why not turn my usual just standard quiz or fun end of lesson where you just chat and do a few little questions into something like an escape room to make it such a fun, memorable, but also revision-packed final lesson. And that's where the idea came from, and so I created exactly that. So let's jump into the main content, the biology escape room challenge. Let's talk about making that final lesson for your Year 11 or Year 13s or both fun and also purposeful. I knew I wanted to make something that was memorable and didn't just feel like I was killing time and having a bit of a fun send-off, but without there being much purpose. So here is how the concept of the biology escape room works. Number one, it's obviously not actually a real escape room. No one's getting locked in my classroom and being told they can't escape until they've got the key. That doesn't sound very safe, and I'd probably get in a lot of trouble. So instead, the students work in pairs or threes, small groups, depends on how big your classes are, you can decide. And they have to crack certain clues using their biology knowledge. Each clue is a biology question linked to either the GCSE or the A-level. And once they've got what they think is the correct answer, there's also some sort of puzzle for them to complete on a card. So it's a mix of puzzles and biology revision. And each time that gives them a numerical clue or some one-word answer clue. They then come to me at the front with that card, say what they think that answer is. If they get it correct, I then give them the next clue card. And this goes on for somewhere between 8 and 10 cards. You can always take some cards out if you don't think you've got as much time, or you can do the full set if you have a longer period of time. But the final clue card is a 4-digit code, or the answer is a 4-digit code. And if they get the answer correct, that reveals the 4-digit code, and that is actually the code for a padlock. And that padlock is attached to a closed box, and they are allowed one attempt to put that code into the padlock, and if they are the first team to correctly get the right code, padlock opens, obviously, and inside the box you put in whatever you want. So I've in the past filled it with different sweets or stationery, highlighters, stickers, whatever prize you might want to give, they win the entire contents of that box. And I only give them one shot at the padlock to stop any teams just thinking, I'm going to spend the whole lesson just going on the padlock, try multiple times. So that's just a general overview of the concept. The things you need to set this up is, number one, you need a padlock. Number two, you need a box. Number three, you need some prizes. You can make that as big or little as you want, but having that box at the front with a padlock and them not knowing what the prize is just adds to the drama and the excitement, I find. Number two is creating a PowerPoint which goes through how to do the escape room. I project up each clue as well as having it on a card. Now, I do actually have this lesson ready-made for GCSE for year 11s and for A-level for AQA for both of them. So if you want to have this completely ready-made with the PowerPoint, with the instructions telling you which slides to print out to make the cards, then you can actually get that. I'll put that in the description below. But the way I then have it set up is my box with a padlock with the prizes. I have my PowerPoint on in the background. I also have all the answers on the notes section of the PowerPoint. So I've got all of that there, so I don't have to work it out every single year. And then all of the cards I've already had printed in colour, laminated, and so I can then just give out these cards, collect them back in every single year. And I set it up on my desk that I've got a pile of clue 1, a pile of clue 2, and so on for all of the clues. So then when the students arrive, I get them to all come up to collect the first clue card, and when they've got it correct, they then give me clue card 1 back and I swap out number 2. So I'm basically at the front collecting and swapping out cards. So then by the end of the lesson, you don't just have cards everywhere, you've collected them and swapped them as you go. So the types of things I have on these clue cards might be multiple choice questions. I've also got catchphrase puzzles, so say what you see to work out a biology answer. There is one long answer question as well. There's keyword anagrams. There are maths questions in there. I also have set up a microscope, so they have to identify what's under the microscope to then get me the answer. And also the final clue, I have the actual clue hidden behind a clone in the classroom. And I either have a photo of identical twins as my clone, or in the past I've had a spider plant there or something like that, just to show them that the idea of clones could be plant species that you've done cuttings from, or identical twins are clones. So why I find this works. Number one, it is still academic. The clues are proper revision questions. Some of them are actual exam questions as well, like the long answer question or the maths question, and getting them to use the microscope. But it's engaging instead of them just sitting down answering a series of questions. It's competitive. It brings the students together to want to work together as their team, and it's memorable. The students always say that they absolutely loved it. They go out of the class talking about it. I do tell them not to tell anyone the clues though, because I do it with multiple classes, but it's one of the things that they absolutely love. So the quick win of the week is then, if you do want to have a go at the GCSE or A-level version of this, as I said, I've got those ready-made that you can actually get on my website, so I'll link those below. It comes with the PowerPoint, the answers on the notes section, and you've got some guidelines in the first couple of slides, and it tells you which slides to print out to make into your clue cards. And as I said, you can vary how many cards you use based on the length of your lesson and also how quickly or slowly your class does it. My lessons were always an hour long. Some classes managed to do all of the clue cards. Some of them I had to cut out about 3 because they were just slower. So you can play it by ear and choose some of the ones towards the end to maybe cut out if you don't think you're going to have time. My resource roundup then. The freebie for this week is reminding you about the Tarsia card sort template that you can get for free, which is linked below. This is a biological molecules revision Tarsia card sort. So if you don't want to have a go at that escape room, creating it yourself, or you don't want to have to spend money and buy the one that I've got, then I do have that free as an activity, which will probably take about 10 minutes within a revision lesson. So that is it for this week's episode. Hopefully that gives you some inspiration, ideas of how you can make that last lesson with your year 11s or year 13s memorable, but also effective for their revision. Or as I said, you can just use the one that I've got down below. So best of luck with any final lessons that you are doing, and hopefully I'll see you next week. You bring the coffee and I'll bring the teach and tell.